Ladies and gentlemen, this is every single side Easter egg on Citadelle Des Morts shown and explained. There's a lot of incorrect guides out there, so I'm going to show you how to do every single side Easter egg in the map and a full explanation of all the locations for everything so that you can do all of these in a single match if you really like to. So I put a lot of work into making this. If you guys enjoyed the video, just drop a like and don't forget to subscribe, but let's not waste any time and just get straight into it. Okay, so first, one of the most misunderstood Easter eggs is the point well. So a lot of people just say go put points in it, but as you've probably noticed, you can't if you try to do it in your game. The way to get this to work is you need to wait for a vermin round to start, and then you literally need to stare down the well until a vermin comes out of it. Eventually it'll happen, but it might take a handful of seconds, but it will eventually come out, and then at that point you can start depositing points into the well. And from here, you can either drop these in for your teammates to acquire later on, or you can bring it back out for yourself. Now, a lot of people are saying that you can basically double up your points this way, and they may have fixed it because once I started to do this and you throw a frag grenade down the well to explode and then cause all of the points to come back out, according to here, it was counting 200, but when I was picking them up regularly, it was the same amount of points. So I'm not totally sure if they nerfed this strategy to give yourself extra points in solo, or if this is just meant to be for sharing points. Either way, you can share essence with your friends, and I think this is a really cool side quest you can do. Next up is a lockdown Easter egg that's going to give you tons of free loot. So in order to activate this one, you first need to melee this wall that will reveal this puzzle, and then from this point, you need to have all of the incantations already made. Now, a lot of this is tied to the main Easter egg, so if you've not done the main Easter egg or you don't know how, I'll have a link in the description that will show you how to create all of these incantations. But you need to have all 4 ready and available, and then you simply take one of each incantation and then melee the wall with it. It's that simple. But after doing all 4, the puzzle will just immediately begin a lockdown step. Now, here's a couple of things with this that I've noticed. The higher round you do this on, the better loot it tends to give you. We did this on like a almost pushing 40, and we got some like flawless crystals out of it. We got legendary weapons. The higher you push, the better stuff you're going to get. But if you do this on like a mid to low round, you're still going to get nice loot. And one of the things you're going to notice is I was using the Raven sword here, and you can teleport using that sword, obviously, but don't do it while you're in this lockdown because basically it can completely fail the step. I found that out the hard way. I just thought I was going to teleport around the room, but it didn't end up so. But if you survive this lockdown with you or your team, it's kind of long. Like, it can be definitely a few minutes, but you'll be given really good loot, and I do recommend pushing to as high of a round as possible to get the best loot that you can, if that's what you're going for anyway. So it's a really cool little Easter egg, pretty simple to do, although you have to progress fairly far into the map to be able to activate it. That's the only thing. All right, next up is a quick one, the music Easter egg. There are 3 Mr. Peaks headphones around the map. The first one is on this table inside the tavern, just right out in the spawn room, very easy to find. The second one is just in front of the castle behind this stone wall, kind of on the backside, just approaching the upper village. And then finally, the last one is behind the couch inside the undercroft. This one is just where the lockdown was taking place as well. So if you grab all 3 of these, you're going to get an absolute Kevin Sherwood banger to start playing in the map. Next up, we have the Rat King Easter egg. This not only gives you tons of loot, but a little crown that you can wear the entire game, and it even works in the Mangler suit. So the first thing you need to do is grab this piece of cheese that's in the spawn room, and you do that by shattering the window, and then you can lay down in front of this van and scare away your first rat. We need to find 10 of these. The second one is still in the spawn room, but it's underneath this stone plant holder, and it's also pretty easy to find. The next one is just to the left of the Deadshot machine. It's kind of hidden in the grass or the brush, but it's right next to the zombie spawner location. The next one is underneath the cannon, right where this broken wooden board is. That will be your next rat. Next one is just behind the Juggernog machine, underneath this wooden chair. Go ahead and scare him away. And there's one right next to it in the stamina up room, underneath this also wooden little table here, very easy to find. Another rat can be found in the dungeon just to the right of the stamina machine. Sometimes there's a zombie in there, sometimes not, but it's right over there on the ground. The next one is in the alchemy room behind the elemental stone. This one's kind of tricky to see, but you should be able to get that no problem. And then there's yet another one inside of the wooden pallet on the ground here, right next to the knight that has the stag sword. And then finally, we have one more rat inside of the undercroft next to a zombie spawner as well. This one completely blends in with like the color scheme, but you should be able to get that one no problem. And then once you have all 10 rats, it should look like this, and then you can place the cheese on the middle of the plate, and then they're going to eat it and give you tons of rewards, and then there should be this golden crown in the middle of the thing. Now, there might be more to this Easter egg. We're not really sure what this crown does other than maybe just a visual. If you want to go in and hunt yourself, by all means, feel free to do so, but you can wear this crown, and you can show it off to your friends and just wear it for the whole game. It even stays on in the Mangler suit. Next up is how to spawn in a ghost knight that's going to help you kill zombies. This This is very similar to the mega stuffy Easter egg in Terminus. However, it doesn't revive you, sadly. But we need to find a chess piece around the map, and there's 4 locations. The first one is actually in the tavern basement, and it looks like this, just sitting on this shelf. The second location should be inside of the elemental pop room, and it's going to be on this table just to the right, like where these radios are. The next one is just to the right of the dragon statue inside the courtyard, and it's going to be sitting on this table. And then the final chess piece, if it's not in any of those locations, will be in the quick revive room on this table with all of this junk in these radios too. But once you pick up this knight, you can bring this chess piece over to the stamina up room and place it on this board, and it's going to initiate this soul box. Now, I recommend doing this at the middle of a round when you have lots of zombies already, because it doesn't spawn in extra zombies until the round begins, and I believe you can fail this step if you don't get a lot of zombies in time. But once you kill enough zombies inside of that radius, a knight should spawn in, and he'll just kind of like move around sort of like a chess piece. He's not incredibly accurate, but he can kill and or knock over zombies, but it's just nice to have as like an extra support item. It's pretty cool. All right, next is how to get a free Mr. Peaks free perk Easter egg. Now, to do this is kind of tricky, as you can only see the Mr. Peaks by looking through very specific windows. Now, the first one we're going to do is inside of the elemental pop room, and just out the window to the right here, you should see a Mr. Peaks floating around. I also recommend having a weapon with a scope on this, as it makes it a lot easier. But when you've done that correctly, you'll get an audio cue and you'll see him disappear. This one is pretty hard to see, but it's inside of the barn, and I recommend looking directly forward like this, just to the right of this branch, and you should be able to see the Mr. Peaks kind of in the background. This one can also be very hard to hit. I think the hitbox is a little finicky, but you'll know when you've done it right when you hear him disappear, and then you can see the little pink spark as he goes away. And then the third and final one is just outside of the night room, and it's up in this window that's very much out of bounds, but you can see this window to the left here, and then there should be a Mr. Peaks on the corner. And once you've gotten all 3 of those, and you can head down into the dungeon once again, and then the fourth and final one will only spawn once you've gotten these previous 3, and it will be just behind this dungeon cave right here, and you'll be sitting right here on the bench, and you can shoot him, and then once he disappears, you'll be given a free perk, and it's very repeatable and easy to do. The only downside is you kind of need to scope to hit all these, but pretty solid nonetheless. All right, next up is all of the free power-ups located in Citadelle Des Morts. The first one is the max ammo, very easy to see, probably the most obvious, just in the upper village on that right window. The next one is the insta-kill, and I previously thought you needed to have an explosive weapon to get it, but it's actually just on the right of this edge here, and you can shoot this with a regular bullet weapon just in the spawn room, and you can get yourself a free insta-kill. Really helpful too. The next one is a nuke, and this one's pretty tricky to see. I also recommend a scoped weapon, at least your first time trying to find it, but it's just underneath the radio tower on the left of the wall, and you can shoot that little metal thing and get yourself a nuke. The next one is just above the dragon statue, and it's up on these wooden beams inside of the courtyard, and this is going to be your free max armor, which, if you didn't know, they've actually buffed, by the way. Max armor now refills your stock too, which is great. The next one is a full power, and it's just on this broken edge piece here of the roof inside of the night room. Very easy to get as well. And then there's also a double points inside of the alchemy room, and it's kind of hard to see because it's so dark in there, but it's just on this bottom shelf. You can get yourself a free double points. This is really helpful in the early game, especially when you're doing the Easter egg, when you first get access to this room and all that, so a really good one there. And then there's also a free bonus points just behind the red couch inside of the undercroft. Now, once you've gotten all of these power-ups here, you've noticed that there's not a fire sale one, but you need to acquire all of these, and once you've done that, inside of the well that we talked about earlier, there should be a fire sale drop waiting for you, but you have to get all of the other ones beforehand for this one to spawn. But if you want yourself a free fire sale, it's that easy. Here's how to get a free PhD flopper every game, because the machine is not in the map. Now, what you need to do is grab 3 bottles of alcohol. The first one is in the knight's room, and it's just underneath this table right here. The second one is inside of the undercroft, right next to the red couch as well, and this one's going to be sitting amongst the other bottles. And then the third one is just across from the stamina machine, and it's on this very bottom shelf here. That should be all 3 bottles of alcohol. You can bring it to the tavern and spawn, put it on this silver tray, and then you need to serve up zombies the correct drink. There's 3 of them. You just need to match up what they want. Now, I do recommend do this at the beginning of a zombie round, because you need enough zombies to serve for this to work. If you do this on a vermin round or something, it might end up failing and you won't get your perk. But doing this, you're also going to get a bunch of free points and stuff like that, so it's really cool just to get free essence. But at the end of it, you'll be given a free PhD flopper perk, as well as either a monkey bomb or a Casimir device. Last but certainly not least, the weirdest Easter egg in the game. After you've opened the castle, you can go to the spawn room and pick up this crank that's inside this banana mana box. And then you can grab this welder or this blowtorch that's in the back of the knight's room, and it's this yellow can right here. Once you've picked those 2 items up, you can bring them back over to the cannon, and then you can rotate it once more. Now, it doesn't really matter if it's rotated to point towards the night room or back to spawn. This doesn't really matter, but what you need to do is activate the cannon and use it 100 times. So if you're playing in a co-op game, it's a cumulative total of 100, or if you're playing it solo, you literally need to run back every single time and use this cannon 100 times, and it's very time consuming. I'm not gonna lie, it takes a long while, but once you've used it 100 times, on the 100th attempt, it's gonna launch you into the clock tower instead. And like I said, it doesn't matter if the cannon is currently pointed towards the knight's room or back to spawn. Regardless of that, the 100th attempt will always be towards the clock tower. But once you've done this very tedious process, you'll launch yourself into the clock tower and be given some free loot. Now, this Easter egg is not worth it at all just for the loot, and the clock tower is going to start ringing, and it's going to behave like a monkey bomb for about 1 minute. Whether you're on a zombie round or a vermin round, they're all going to be attracted to the front of this door, and that's pretty much it. Other than the loot and the temporary monkey bomb effect, we don't really know what this Easter egg is for. There might be more to this clock tower Easter egg, we're not really sure, or it could be just this, who really knows. But this is kind of a weird one, and I will say it's absolutely not worth doing, in my opinion. It just takes way too long, and the rewards are not well. But I mean, if you want to do it in a co-op game, if you just feel like that's something you are interested in, then by all means be my guest. Now, something cool to keep in mind about this is the knight that we got earlier from the chessboard Easter egg. If you want, you can actually bring him into the boss fight, as opposed to the mega stuffy that would not enter the terminus fight. The knight is very different, and he can actually help you out here. Like I said, unfortunately, he cannot revive you, but he can at least assist in a way where he'll get extra zombie kills and try to cover you as best as he can inside of the guardian boss fight. So if you're really struggling there, then maybe that's something worth bringing in, but it won't make a big difference if I'm being honest. But either way, that is every single side Easter egg in Citadelle Des Morts. I hope you guys enjoyed. I wanted to make a very easy to follow, comprehensive guide, and I want to thank you all for the love that you've shown on all the guides and just on the channel recently. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.